Alright, welcome. So let me show you what we are going to learn how to create in this particular video. As you can see, this is a beautiful looking travel website that I've created specifically for this tutorial. And I've derived inspiration from many of the top websites in the world. Okay, let me show you an overview of this particular website, and this is how it looks. It looks quite engaging, so if people come to this website, I'm sure they would spend a lot of time in this particular website and probably might also check out with the product in their cart. Alright, so let me show you how to create this. Wonderful, so now I'm in front of my screen and I've fired up Figma. Let us go ahead and select a frame that we can work with, and I'm going to select a desktop frame. Alright, so first things first, we will start with creating a wireframe, and later on we'll move on to a high fidelity full-fledged website. Okay, so let's start with today's video. Let me start by creating the header menus. Okay, I'm going to speed run this so that you don't have to wait for me. Alright, now let's go ahead and arrange all of these properly. Okay, I'm going to tidy this up by clicking on tidy up, and I'm going to slightly space it equally. Okay, something like this. Also gonna go ahead, select this and tidy this up as well. And let's go ahead and select a button for our sign up. Okay, I'm going to place the rectangle beneath the layer of sign up. Now, as you can see, when I zoom into this, you can see that the alignment of our button and sign up is not proper. Let's go ahead and equally align it in the center by clicking over here. And I'm also going to go ahead and give some rounding to our button as well. And we can go ahead and give it some corner rounding. Alright, perfect. I think it looks nice. Now let's start by creating the other elements as well. Okay, I'm going to zoom it out a little bit, and let's go ahead and type a mission statement. Okay, so these are all the elements that we have created till now. But I'm missing something over here. I do not know the proper alignment where I'm placing all my elements inside this particular frame. So to understand the alignment, what we are going to do is, let us go ahead and select this frame, and we are going to create a grid. Okay, so when I click on this plus button, it's going to give me this default grid that we can work with. Okay, but as you can see, this grid, when I zoom in, it's a grid for every single pixel. Okay, but for my example, for our example, we do not need this particular grid. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to change this grid to a column style grid. Okay, and change the count of the column to say about 12 column. So this is what you get after once you have filled in for 12 columns. So here we have 12 columns, and now what I can do is I can click on this particular region, this particular element, and properly align it, something like this. Okay, now I've just taken columns, I haven't taken rows. Okay, you can also go ahead and make precise grid by creating rows as well. Okay, so you have that option as well to create rows and columns. So you can add one more grid over here, and maybe this grid, what you would do is you would create rows, and this is how the rows are going to look like. But I do not require rows. Okay, so I'm just going to remove this. I'm just going to work with the columns. Okay, but feel free and create rows if you want more precise detailed website. You can do that, but I'm fine with only the columns as well. Alright, so this is our columns, but I'm going to make some more changes over here. I want a 45 pixel difference from left and right, and I can do that by typing 45 over here, and it's going to space out the column 45 pixels away from the left and right, and this is what we get. Okay, now let me go ahead and click over here, and I'm going to place our element right about here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and create a component, okay, of this particular button, and this is how I can do that. Let me go ahead and select the sign up and the rectangle. I'm going to click on this second icon which says create component, and voila, it's going to create a component for us. And let me type as sign up. and it's going to create the component. Let me drag this particular component and place it, align it with our column. Now let me show you why we require this component, okay? And if I twirl down this desktop one, you can see we have got the component created over here, and I can pull it and drop it inside our frame. What it's going to do is it's going to create an instance of the original component, okay? So for example, I can drag some more, okay, and you can use this button wherever you want to, instead of creating this button again and again, okay? And also you can do changes on this button as well, okay? So for example, if I go ahead and maybe type it as login and commit it, you will get a new button altogether, and this is an instance of our original button, okay? But for example, if I go ahead and make changes on the parent button or our original button, let me go ahead and type in login, it's going to reflect on all of the buttons, all of the instances, okay? So if you want to make a global change on all of your instances, all you have to do is go ahead and make changes on your original button, your parent button, okay? Let me commit this and undo all of these changes. And now what I'm going to do is I am going to select this particular button and place it over here. And let me select all of the instances and place it over here, okay? And this is the third instance. Now as you can see, this is our original button, right, or the component, and all of these three other buttons are the instances of this particular component. So therefore this original button is called a parent button, okay, and all these other three instances created from the original button is called a child button. So these buttons are the children of this parent, okay, and any changes made on the parent is going to reflect on the children as well, right? But any changes made on the children is not going to affect on the parent button, right? So for example, any changes in the DNA of your parent, right, is going to affect on the child as well, right? But going further, if something is affected in the DNA material of a child, it's not going to reverse back to the parent, right? I hope it makes sense, right? So that's how this particular principle works as well. So it's not going to reflect back to the parent. Alright, let me go ahead and place it back to its original position. I'm going to place it over here, and I'm going to delete all of these components since we do not require it right now. Alright, so let's start by creating a call to action button over here. Now there are two methods how we can do that. We can either pull up this particular component over here as we have seen earlier, otherwise we can go ahead and create a button completely from the scratch. So second is the method what I'm going to use, because I'm going to save it under a different name, okay, and I want it to be a component inside a frame. But you can feel free, you can use either method that you want to. It's just your desire how you work with things, okay? Alright, so let me select a rectangle and let me create a button. So I'm going to create a button of right about so much, and let us give it some rounding as well. Now I'm randomly eyeballing the rounding, okay, according to my desire, but you can also create a precise rounding for all your button as well. But just for this example, I'm not going to do that, okay? I'm just going to use it randomly. And let's go ahead and give it a call to action. I'm going to type it as discover more, okay? Let's go ahead and center align this properly. And it's center aligned, okay? Now as you can see on the right side over here, we have something called as constraints, okay? So what it really does is, if I go ahead and select our frame, our desktop frame for example, and let me zoom out a little bit and show you properly, frame it properly so that it's properly visible. If I select this button and let me group it for now, I'm going to explain you what grouping really is. So I'm going to group this and I'm going to place this right about here, okay? And as we know, by default, it has given us a constraint of left and top. So what it does is, when I select on the desktop frame and if I make any changes on the bottom, this button is ineffective of the changes that I'm making in the bottom. But for example, if I make any changes on the top, let me zoom it out, you can see that it's moving along the top, okay? Now if I make any changes on the left, you can see that it's moving along the left as well. And if I hold on this place and if I resize this something like this, you can see that the button is sticking to the left and the top. But if I make any changes over here, that change is inevitable on this particular element, right? Let me undo all of it and let me come back to our original frame size. Okay, so this is the original frame size. So that's the work of a constraint. Okay, so for example, if I center align this particular button, let me first place it in the center, and I'm going to center align this particular button. Okay, now if I select on this frame and make changes, it will just follow the center, you can see. So the constraints, let me undo it. Okay, so the constraint really works in making the website responsive. We are going to dive deep into the constraints later on in maybe the next lesson or a lesson after that, because it's a 3-part series. Okay, but just understand this is the use of the constraint. Let me go back and place our button right about here, and I'm going to zoom in the frame. Okay, I hope everything is understood till here. If you have any doubt, write it down in the comment section below. I'm trying to go as slow as possible and as in depth as possible so that it's easier for you guys to break down and consume. Okay, so if you are liking the video until now, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, because I'm making in-depth videos on every use case that we will be working on. Okay, all right, so let's create this button. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to ungroup this button. I'm going to select on both of these layers, pull it up, and it's going to ungroup. Okay, and as you can see, the folder of the group was gone. It disappeared. All right, so now let's go ahead and create other elements as well. I'm going to use an ellipse, and I'm going to draw an ellipse right about here of so much size, and I'm going to place it about here. I'm also going to select a polygon and draw a polygon and resize it properly. I'm going to center align both of these elements. Okay, let's select the polygon, and I'm going to change the color to a black color. Okay, so that it creates distinction between these two elements. Okay, and I'm going to place it right about here. Let me go ahead and select one more ellipse, and I'm going to draw 3 ellipses out of it. I'm going to duplicate an instance and duplicate one more instance. Okay, and I'm going to duplicate one more instance. So there are 4 instances. What I'm going to do is, let me move over here, zoom out a little bit, and place this ellipse right about here. I'm going to increase its size and the height and the length as well, and I'm going to place it right about here. Okay, perfect. Slightly so much. Okay, now what I'm going to do is, let me place these 3 ellipses over here. All right, let me select this ellipse, and I'm going to give it a 0 fill, and I'm going to create a stroke out of it. I think I want to go with a center stroke, and after that I'm going to select a style to be a dash style. I want it to be a 12 dash style, and this is what I get once we have created that style. Let me select all of these 3 ellipses, and I'm going to place it above this 5th ellipse. Okay, so this is how it looks. I'm going to resize this, it's quite big. Okay, I'm going to make it slightly smaller and place it something like this. I'm going to delete this one and just going to copy the instance of this and place it right about here. And I think this is completely fine because it's in the center. So I want that difference to be there between these 3 elements. Okay, and also I feel that the size of the button is also a little bigger. Let me create a component first, and I'm going to name this as discover more. Okay, let me resize this button. Okay, let me go over here. Let me select this rectangle and resize this rectangle equally, and I'm going to select this one and center align it with respect to the button. Okay, and accordingly I'm also going to resize the ellipse as well. Okay, I'm going to place it right about here, and I'm going to take this polygon as well and place it right about here. Okay, is it center aligned? Let me select both of these and center align it properly. Perfect. I'm also going to create a component out of it, and I'm going to name this component as play button. Alright, let's commit, and let me select the text, and I'm going to type watch our video. Okay, and let's align this properly. Okay, So I kind of like the alignment, it's perfectly fine. And we are going to work on the refinement later. Okay, first let's create the wireframe. Okay, I'm going to take one more rectangle and this is going to be a call to action over here. Okay, let's give it some rounding. Let's create one more rectangle and I'm going to create the same rounding, that is 6 for this rectangle as well. Let me type 6, enter, and let me change the color of this rectangle to a darker color, maybe black. Okay, and what I'm going to do is create one more polygon and I'm going to place this polygon right about here. Select this, center align it properly, and I think I like the color of this polygon, so that's completely fine. Okay, let's go over here and write choose, since it's a travel website, choose destination. Alright, so this is how our wireframe looks so far. Okay, now let us properly align this and I'm going to place this over here. I think the text and the buttons are too closer and I'm going to place it right about here, and I'm also going to place our text right about here. Okay, let's select all of these layers as well and I'm going to place it right about here. Now let me remove our grid and I'm going to create one more rectangle and I'm going to place that rectangle right about here. Now as you can see, our menu section is not visible to us. Okay, and that's because our menu section is right about here in the bottom. What we can do is we can go ahead and group all of these menu section along with this particular one, and we are going to group it. And let me rename this as menu section. Okay, and I'm going to place this group on the top over here above our rectangle. Okay, perfect. And now what I'm going to do is let me give a logo. I also want a logo for our brand, right? So let's go ahead and select a logo. What I'm going to do is I'm just selecting a simple logo from Iconify and I'm going to select this particular logo and let me drag it over here, and I'm going to drag this layer right about here. Let me resize this. Let me zoom in and resize this properly to about so much, and I'm going to align it properly. Let me zoom out of it. So this is our wireframe that we have just created. Let me also go ahead and create some rectangles over here. I don't want any empty spaces over here. And the rectangle which I am creating, this is actually a design that we are going to make going further, but presently I don't want this area to be empty. Okay, and this is how it's going to look. Okay, let me zoom in a little bit and let me show you how our frame looks. So this is the wireframe. Now what we are going to do is we are going to create a high fidelity mock-up of this wireframe. Okay, let's start by doing that. Let me go ahead and search for Unsplash. So this is a plugin. I'll show you what it does. Okay, so if I click on Unsplash, So all of these plugins that you are seeing, these are all free to use. All you have to do is go to the plugin tab, go to the plugins over here on the second option and search for that particular plugin. Okay, and you can run it into your frame inside. Okay, so I'm going to search for any picture. You know, we can search for a Sahara Desert, and it's going to give me all this 4K picture that we can readily use into our website. But I have already saved and downloaded a picture that I want to use, and let me bring that picture inside. I'm going to zoom out and I'm going to place that picture right about here. Okay, so this is the picture that I want to use. Let me resize this properly so it matches the frame that I want. Okay, so let me resize it to say about so much. Okay, now what I'm going to do is place this picture inside the frame. Let me drag it towards the bottom and place it right about here. Okay, so this is the picture that we are using. Let me also resize it a little bit more and place it right about there, and wonderful, it looks perfect. Okay, let me go ahead and change the color to black, and I'm going to reduce its opacity slightly so much, and I'm going to go ahead and choose our menu section, and I'm going to change the color to white. Okay, let me select our button which is inside this menu section. Okay, select our rectangle and I'm going to change the color to white. Okay, and sign up text color, I'm going to change it to black. Okay, so this is our header menu. Let me zoom in and show you. Okay, this is how it looks. I'm also going to change the color of all of these ellipses to pure white, and the fourth ellipse I'm going to change the stroke color to a white color as well. Okay, and let me change the color of this text, but before that I think I'm going to make it a semi bold, a medium. Yeah, medium looks good to me. Okay, and after that I'm going to align this properly right about here. Let me select all of these elements as well and place it right about here. I'm going to select on this image and move it slightly towards the right side. Okay, let me change the color of this text to a pure white, but I think I'll change the color of the boundaries to say, select the boundaries, and I'm going to change the color to our logo color, which is orange. Also going to change the color of this one and select this button, change the color of the text to white and the color of the rectangle to black. I'm going to select this button, change the play button color, ellipse color to black, and the polygon color to white, or maybe vice versa. Okay, ellipse color is going to be pure white and the polygon color is going to be pure black. Right, let me select all of these three rectangles as well, and I'm going to change the color to pure white, give it some rounding so that it looks more aesthetically pleasing to the eyes. Now similarly, what we are going to do is we are going to select all of these three, okay, and we are going to add an image to it. Okay, let me go to Unsplash, and maybe here I might add an image of Norway. I think I kind of like this one. I'm going to select this color, this image, and after that let me select this one, and I'm going to search Nepal. Lovely, I like this one. Let me add that image. And the third image, I'm going to search maybe Tibet. And I'm going to use this particular image. Alright, so this is how it looks. Let me select our frame and let me show you a preview of the website we have just created. Wonderful. So this is how it looks, and we have created till here. So this is it from this video, and I'll show you, we'll continue on creating this particular website in our second video. So follow along. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. Thank you for watching. Namaste ji, this is Vish, and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Alright, so welcome to the second video of three-part series where we are going to learn how to create this beautiful looking travel website. So if you haven't watched the first video, I'll place a card somewhere on the top, or you can find it in the description box below. So without any further ado, let's get with the tutorial. Alright, so we have selected our frame, and let me zoom in into this place, and if I select this rectangle over here and pull it up, you can see the shape of this rectangle. We have got roundings on two edges, but on the other two bottom corner we do not have any rounding. How do we create this rectangle? Let me show you how to do that. Okay, so we select this rectangle like this, and if you see over here we have something called as corner radius, right? If we drag it, you can see it has unanimously rounded all the edges of this particular rectangle. So how do we create this particular rectangle? Why? Because we do not have any rounding on the bottom layer, right? On the bottom edge, right? So how do we create this? It's very simple. All you have to do is you have to go over here on the right. First, let me select the rectangle. Go over here on the right where it says independent corners. Go ahead and click on that, and now you can individually control each and every corner. So for example, if I want to remove the rounding on the bottom left corner, you can see we have removed the rounding, right? And I can do the same if I go over here and remove the rounding from the bottom right corner. Okay, so that is how you create this particular rectangle. I hope you understood this. Let me go ahead and delete this and bring this rectangle back to its original place. Okay, all right. Now let me zoom out a little bit, and we are going to expand this particular frame so that we can further go ahead and design this frame. Let me go ahead and select a rectangle, and I'm going to draw a rectangle from right about here. Okay, about so much. Okay, let me also go ahead and change the color of the fill to a color black. I'm also going to go ahead and give it a drop shadow. Let me select on the spread and increase the spread of the drop shadow. So as you can see over here, keep your eye over here. Okay, as I increase the spread, you can see there's something happening right over here. So it's actually increasing the spread of the drop shadow. Now after that, I'm going to also increase the value of our blur so that it seamlessly blends with our hero section, and this is how it looks. Let me toggle on and off the drop shadow, and this is the effect that we have just created. Wonderful, right? So let me now also go ahead and create three rectangles a rectangle of size 300 by 600. Let me duplicate two more rectangles of this size. Let me turn on my grid and I'm going to select all of these three rectangles and clip it to the first column of our grid. Okay, now what I'm going to do is take a text. I'm going to type international. Okay, change its size to say 48. Let me align it properly and place it right about here. I'm also going to go ahead and give some corner radius to all of the three rectangles that we have just created to say about so much. Okay, and let's go ahead and add some images on each of these rectangles. So as we have done it earlier, let's go ahead and open the Unsplash. Okay, so I'm going to open the Unsplash, and for the first rectangle, let me search an image from Turkey. And I think I like this one. I'm just gonna go ahead and click on this one, and voila, it's going to upload that image in this particular frame. Okay, let's select our second rectangle and I will select an image of a Bali. I like this one. Let me go ahead and click on this one. Wonderful. Let's select our third rectangle and maybe we will search for Thailand. Wonderful. There are some really beautiful images of Thailand. And I'm going to select this one. Wonderful. Let me X out of it. I'm going to zoom out a little bit and let me remove the grid. Okay. Now let's go ahead and add some lorem ipsum text over here. Okay. So to do that, let me select a text box. Alright, so let me go ahead and select all of these 5 stars and we are going to create a component out of it. Because we are going to use at least 3 times for all of these images, and maybe even in the bottom design we are going to use the stars. So therefore let's click on this and create a component. Alright, so I have just selected all the 5 stars and I have created a component out of it. Now I'm going to name this component as stars. Okay, we are going to use this stars here as well on other 2 images. Let me actually copy both of these elements, okay, and place it on the second one. Let me turn on the grid and see if all our placement is done correctly. I'm going to zoom in, align this properly with the grid. Okay. Yes, wonderful. Alright, so after that, let's create a section for a Google reviews, okay? This section is going to be for the reviews, okay? And let me also create some button. I'm just going to simply, drag this play button asset over here as well, okay? So that's going to act like our toggle button. Let me create one more instance of that, and I'm going to horizontally flip this. So this is going to be our review section, okay? Let me remove our grid and let's go ahead and review what we have created so far. Okay, let me first also align this properly and evenly space it. I think it has to go a little towards the top. Okay, all right. That's how it is, right? We can also go ahead and add some lorem ipsum if you want. I'm just going to copy this lorem ipsum. Wonderful. So that's our review section. I'm also going to change the color of this one as well. Okay, wonderful. So this is what we have created so far. Let's go ahead and preview this particular website. Okay. All right. So this is how it looks. There's still a lot of work to be done. We have to work on the refinement, which we will do it in our next video. It's already too long for now. Alright, so that is it from this video. Namaste ji, this is Vish and I'll see you in my next video. Bye-bye. Take care. Alright, so let's finally complete this website. Let's seal the deal. Okay, let me show you a preview of what we have created so far. So this is the website that we have created. And since this is a 3-part series, please go ahead and watch the other 2 videos as well. Then you will get a gist of how we created this website until here. Okay, now let's go ahead to our section and I'm going to select our frame. And now I'm going to go ahead and click on this one. Let me create an instance of this particular dotted line. We are going to turn on the grid so that we can create all the elements with precise measurement. Okay, I'm going to take this and I'm going to draw it until so much. Okay, let me zoom out. I'm also going to take a copy of this and we are going to type South India exploration. Wonderful. Okay, and we are going to create Mento box style over here. Let me take this and create a copy of this one. I'm going to place it right about here and I'm going to increase its size to about so much, and the width to about so much. Let me make it as 400. Okay, and this one is going to be as 550. Okay, let me also take few more copies of this rectangle and I'm going to place it right about here. Take one more rectangle, place it right about here. Let me resize these rectangles, and I am going to resize it to about I'm going to draw one more copy of this particular rectangle and decrease its size to about so much. Now I'll show you why I did this exactly. I'm also going to reduce its rounding to about 0. And let us go to the fill layer, and I'm going to select a gradient layer. Click on the second layer and change its color to a pure black. Okay, and after that we get this gradient design that looks something like this. Let's go ahead and upload images to this section. I'm going to click on this rectangle, go to our plugin Unsplash. We have already used this in our previous video, and I'm going to search for an image of South Indian destination called Coorg. Let me go ahead and select a beautiful image for our section. I'm going to use this one. Alright, voila, so this is how it looks. Okay, and now let me go ahead and select this layer as well, and I'm going to open up Unsplash. Alright, wonderful. So this is how our design looks so far. I'm going to select on this and let me further extend it right about here. And let me flip it horizontally, and we are going to select on this line and we are going to pull it about here. Okay, let's turn on the grid and check. Okay, it looks perfect. Let me extend our frame a little bit more. I'm going to select on this one as well and extend it until over here. Alright, so this is how our website looks, okay, and we have finally completed everything in our website. Now I haven't added the footer menu. I mean, you can definitely go ahead and add that. It's quite simple, right? If you have created tons of website, you already know what are the things you have to add in the footer menu. Okay. Alright, so that is it from this video. Hope you liked the video. If you liked the video, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in our next video. Bye bye, take care.